Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 130 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm usually joined every week by my co-host Mr. Ayaz Sumra. He couldn't be with us this week. He's done one of those things that he sometimes seems to do where he just goes missing. Nobody knows where he is. Get the hashtag going on Twitter at FindAyaz. But I'm joined this week by a very, very good replacement, and her first time actually on this show. It is America's very own Mimi Melendez. Mimi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm very good. Right, let's jump straight into the review part of the show. Let's waste no time. We're going to start over in the Belasco Theater in Los Angeles, California. Just one fight to mention from this card here. Prospect out of the Robert Garcia boxing gym, Hector Tanahara. He moved to 13-0. It was a unanimous decision over 8 rounds for him against a guy called Hector Suarez. It was the battle of the Hectors. Well, Tanahara came out on top as expected. I'm happy to see him go the distance as well. In his last fight, if I'm not mistaken, I think he touched down and got up to win. So yeah, he's quite a guy that I'm very excited about his future. Moving over now to Australia. 1 or 2 fights to mention on this bill at the Convention and Exhibition Centre in Brisbane, Queensland. What do we have here? The son of Costa Tszyu, Tim Tszyu. He moved to 8-0. It was a TKO in the 5th round against Ruben Webster, who was previously undefeated. He brought a record into this fight of 8-0. So a TKO there for Tim Tszyu. He now moves to 8-0. Very exciting young fighter. He seems to have a lot of power in his punches, and I'm really excited to see what he turns out to be. Moving up the bill once again, Damien Hooper picked up win number 14. He's also got 1 loss. It was a TKO in round 9 against Reynold Quinlan, the man that we all, slated really when we saw that he'd signed to fight Chris Eubank Jr. in that bizarre fight. And this one, by the way, was actually at light heavyweight. Quinlan's moved up to light heavyweight. This one was also for the WBO International Light Heavyweight title. One note on this fight actually, Damien Hooper, despite getting the TKO in round 9 of 10, he was actually down twice in round 5 himself, so credit to him. Also on this bill, Dennis Hogan, he moved to 27-1 with 1 draw. It was a win against Britain's very own Jimmy Kelly. Very unlucky Jimmy Kelly. He proved, to be honest, a few times now that he will fight anybody, but unfortunately for him it didn't pan out. He's now 23-2. Dennis Hogan successfully defends his WBO Intercontinental Super Welterweight title and also his WBO Oriental Super Welterweight title, so good stuff with him. Moving over now to Austria, one fight that went under the radar a little bit over here. Pavel Pulev, this is the younger brother of Kubrat Pulev. I think he's about 35 actually, so he's not so younger, but anyway, he moved to double figure wins. It was a 10th win for him, a KO in round 2 against Laszlo Penzes, who was actually undefeated with a record of 7-0 going in, so good win there for Pavel Pulev. Moving over to France, the man that recently fouled, well not fouled, I should rephrase that, I got told off last week, the guy that went against the anti-doping rules, I suppose, he fouled to oblige with their rule set. Tony Yoka, he missed a couple of drug tests. It's not that he fouled them, he just missed them. So he failed to alert the drug authorities in France of his whereabouts, and he wasn't able to take the tests when they showed up because he wasn't where he told them he'd be. Well, anyway, throughout all the confusion, he managed to actually, have the French board sanction a fight for him. He now moves to 4-0. It was a KO in round 5 against his opponent Cyril Leonet, who is now 13-10 with 3 draws. No great shakes him, but a good win there for Tony Yoka. I think that's also his first 10-rounder. I may be wrong, but he only needed 5 to get rid of his opponent there. Moving over now to Mexico at the Hotel Azul Ixtapa. Former world champion Johnny Gonzalez picked up win at number 66. He's also got 10 losses. It was a unanimous decision against Marlon Cabrera, who's now 24-2. This one was for the WBC Latino super featherweight title. And now moving over to the big one at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. This is the final bill of any real significance to mention from last week. This really was the bill of the weekend, to be honest, in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. I'm going to start on the undercard here. Sergio Mora, 28-5 with 2 draws. We will be speaking to him later on in the show. He picked up a split decision win against Alfredo Angulo, 24-6. Both men were coming off, I think it was just under 2 years out of the ring. They both hadn't boxed since about mid-2016. Sergio Mora, like I say, got the win, but one judge scored it to Alfredo Angulo. That judge, no surprise, Adelaide Bird, somebody that's come under some scrutiny many times, not just recently, but yeah, that was a bit of a questionable scorecard for her. It seems like that's becoming quite a fashion now. Also on this bill, because that one wasn't televised, but the fight that I got to see first on the bill in the UK on Box Nation, Julian Williams, 24-1 with 1 draw, took on Nathaniel Gallimore, 20-1 with 1 draw. J-Rock Williams was cut under his right eye from an accidental headbutt. I didn't know too much about Gallimore going in, but he actually impressed me. I think he was a much better fighter than I thought he would be. And very interestingly, at the weigh-in, I think it was, or maybe the press conference, they did a face-to-face kind of thing. That's all I do know. But Gallimore brought with him some Fruity Pebbles, which is obviously a famous US brand cereal, and he brought them to the weigh-in to say that J-Rock is not J-Rock, he's J Pebbles, which I found quite amusing. Obviously he was made to eat those words. I'm going to bring you in now, Mimi. I'm taking it that you probably did see this fight. If so, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought Gallimore was a lot more skilled than what I had previously thought. I wasn't too familiar with him as well. He did pretty well in the mid-rounds. And I thought that this was a great win for J-Rock.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to agree. I think that, like I say, Gallimore, when he brought the Fruity Pebbles to the weigh-in, I found that quite amusing. I feel that J-Rock definitely won a clear decision despite one judge having it a draw, so it was a majority decision in the end. But the 11th round, I think that J-Rock was very, very close to stopping Gallimore. Gallimore seemed to be out on his feet but showed some great conditioning. J-Rock didn't really have it all his own way though, like I say, and like you say, really, the mid-rounds, he certainly had a lot of success. J-Rock was also cut on both eyes and took a lot of shots himself. It definitely wasn't one-way traffic. Although he did win, though, J-Rock, he didn't. I don't know. He seems like he's quite a few levels down from the champions at 154. It seems like, I don't know. He didn't impress me too much, but it seems like the champions at 154. There's quite a drop in level to the contenders because he really is a contender. He's a top contender, I think. But I think there's quite a difference in class between the champions and the contenders. Would you tend to agree with that, Mimi, or am I way off?
No, I absolutely agree with you. 154 has some great champions. They have Hurd, Lara, there's Charlo. These guys are way above J-Rock as far as, levels go in boxing. I do feel like they are more complete. I do feel like J-Rock is a solid prospect, though. Yeah.
I agree with that. And moving up this bill, let's start with... Should we start with Truax and DeGale after this one, or should we do Lara and Hurd? Where should we go between those two fights right now? Up to you.
We could go with Truax DeGale.
Okay, let's go with that. This one, of course, was a rematch for the IBF World Super Middleweight title. James DeGale lost the belt to Truax back in December. I was there, sat ringside in London. A very under par performance from James DeGale, but he did avenge that defeat there on the weekend. DeGale was also cut on the right eye from a punch in round 3. Truax was cut on his right eye in round 7 and round 8. It seemed like all the cuts were caused from accidental head clashes. DeGale was also deducted 1 point in round 10 for use of his shoulder. It seemed to be quite a questionable decision from the referee, to be honest there. Let me go into this one. I think that the first round, DeGale surprised me where he was so much on the front foot. He was very, very aggressive. That took me by surprise a little bit. Very unusual DeGale round, especially in the first round, to see him so aggressive. He really went looking for Truex right away. I think that DeGale looked very mobile and athletic. I think Truex clearly, he looked big and strong in there, the much bigger guy naturally, I'd feel. And DeGale landed two big headbutts on Truex that seemed to be unintentional, but even still they landed really solid, and Truex came off really bad from those head clashes. I think that was one in the first and one in the second. DeGale's forehead hit Truex in the mouth both times there. And like I say, the other cuts were caused by other head clashes. DeGale walked into a couple of powerful looking right hands from Truex, down the course of the fight. Something still seems to be missing from DeGale, though, in my opinion. Like I say, DeGale was cut badly in the third round. That was from another clash of heads. And, the corner just seemed to not be able to get that cut under control at any point in the fight. It just kept flowing and flowing. The referee called it incorrectly, though. I think he said it was from a punch, which, that was a bit dangerous, really. That was a bit risky, I felt, at that point. I thought that perhaps we could see the fight get stopped and Truex would rack up a TKO victory. But in the fourth round, James DeGale was constantly on the back foot, and it seemed like he was slipping into those bad habits that he picked up in the first fight. It seemed like the fight was maybe swaying a little bit back in Truex's favour. I did actually give DeGale the fourth round, though. I had it 3-1 to DeGale after 4. There was some very different scorecards floating around on Twitter. I felt that DeGale started a little bit slow from like the 5th round. I think Truex didn't do too much work in those mid rounds apart from just stalk DeGale. He wasn't really landing any eye-catching punches, I'd say. I think that DeGale won some of the middle rounds as well. DeGale, like I say, was constantly wiping the stream of blood away from his eye. The corner just couldn't do anything with the bleeding. Robert Byrd took a point off James DeGale, like I say, for persistent use of the shoulder in round 10. The commentators thought that was outrageous. Like I say, the scorecards were all over the place on social media. I felt that the 12th round, the final round, there was a lot of holding, but I think that Truex probably won the round on the cleaner work. I felt that the 10-8 round as well could have proved to be huge. Not on my scorecard. I felt that James DeGale won quite comfortably over the distance, but I felt that it could play a part. But in my eyes, the right man won. A lot of people would say that I'm wrong. So how did you see that fight, Mimi?
That fight was very bloody. It was a very messy fight. I didn't feel like that was the best, representation of what either one can do. I did feel like there was a lot of grabbing, holding, clinching, a lot of smothering. There was not any real good inside fighting. There was a lot of leaning in as well. I think DeGale, when he was pushing him off, I think he was just trying to create some distance to try to land some cleaner shots. But like you said, the ref took a point away, and I thought that was kind of outrageous as well. Honestly, it's just, it wasn't a fight that, that I would say that, was a great fight. It was not the highlight of the night.
No, I tend to agree with that. I think that something's just lacking from DeGale. I don't know. I mean, the first time I kind of thought to myself, maybe it's Truex, maybe the fact that I don't even want to say he's awkward. I think he's quite textbook, really, Truex. I don't think he's got much to his game, really, and I really like the guy, so that's not a disrespectful comment to make about him, but I just felt that DeGale's just struggled so bad with him in the first fight. I actually barely gave DeGale a round in the first fight, and I think the second fight, despite I had DeGale winning quite wide on the cards, I still think that there's something lacking there, and, before he actually met Truex in the ring, before last December, I would have said that DeGale's probably the best super middleweight on the planet. But now, I think I actually have a lot of people to beat him. I think that, and this is, I don't want people to take this out of context what I'm saying here, but I would have him as an underdog to Gilberto Ramirez, to David Benavidez, to George Groves, possibly. And this could really be quite controversial. Possibly even Chris Eubank Jr. I could just imagine him, throwing a million punches and, DeGale not being able to judge the distance well, which we've seen. He seems to not really be able to judge distance well all of a sudden. It seems like he's got old overnight. Just before we move on from this fight, Mimi, who would you favour over DeGale at 168? Do you still have him as the top dog, or is he nowhere near? How do you see the division?
No offense to DeGale. I think he's been in a lot of wars. I don't think he's the fighter he was before. I do feel like Uzcategui could be a problem for him. Benavidez would beat him. I honestly feel like he's not a top dog anymore at that weight class. It's just, he's just not the fighter he was before.
Right, yeah, because there's a rumor going around. A lot of people sort of believe it and some don't, that he perhaps got badooed. You know what I mean? Like Badou just took it out of him, or I like to say he got jacked. I like that saying better. Moving up now to the main event, though. This one was the main event of the night. This one, of course, for the IBF, IBO, and WBA World Super Welterweight titles. This one was a unification, of course. Erislandy Lara in one corner with his record 25-2 with 2 draws. Jarrett Hurd 21-0 in the other corner. Firstly, I give Jarrett Hurd a lot of credit because I think that he's a guy that, I want to say he's kind of inexperienced with the championship rounds and the championship fighters. I felt that, his last win against Austin Trout was a good win, but I felt that Trout ran out of steam after about 3 rounds. So, I wasn't too sure how much of a great win it was. But aside from that, he didn't really impress me against Tony Harrison when he picked up the vacant title, despite stopping him. He was being outboxed for much of that. And before that, I hadn't really seen much of Jarrett Hurd. So I have to say, going into this fight, I massively favoured Erislandy Lara. And you know what? He's really impressed me, Jarrett Hurd, because I think, like I say, I think he'll fight anybody. And I almost felt he was a little bit naive to take this fight on. He seemed to kind of be, underestimating Lara. At the weigh-in, he was putting his hand over the guy's head, like as if to say he was so small, so short, kind of taking the mick out of him a little bit. And I thought, oh boy, he's going to really pay tomorrow night. But it just wasn't to be. It was all Jarrett Hurd. How did you see that fight, Mimi, before I break it down?
I saw the fight as a very interesting fight. I knew Hurd was going to bring, difficulties to Lara. Lara's been dropped before in the Angulo fight, which Angulo is a pressure fighter. Hurd is the same way. Hurd is a very, very, huge, strong pressure fighter. He takes a punch to give 5. So, and he doesn't mind it. He'll just keep going forward. And I knew that pressure was going to be a problem for Lara.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly aggressive start from Lara as well. I mean, he came out in the first round, swinging away, and I feel like he had a great first round, Lara. And I knew that. Well, I don't want to say I knew because I don't feel like I knew much about this night of boxing. There was a few surprises here and there, but I really was not too sure if the fight was going to be a really exciting fight, because we don't see Lara in many barn burners, but I felt that Hurd actually did bring out a lot of eye-catching stuff from Lara, which tends to mean it didn't go all Lara's way. Hurd touched the canvas, but it was a slip. I think that was in the first or second round. Hurd did look quite uncomfortable in there in parts, but like I say, Hurd being absolutely huge for the weight, and you have to say, he did look a couple of weight classes above Lara when they were standing close. He was able to just take Lara's punches and kind of walk through him at times. He was being backed up here and there, but over the course of the fight, the bigger man Hurd was just able to, put the pressure on Lara. Like you say, he won many rounds on aggression. Many rounds he landed the better shots. And I found it quite a close fight up until the 12th round. I mean, like I said, I do say it was all Hurd, but what I mean by that is I feel like he answered a lot of questions for me. And going into that 12th round, it was quite close. I felt that Hurd was probably 1 or 2 ahead. And then obviously in the 12th round where he dropped Lara, that was really the nail in the coffin, if you like. Obviously, Lara hadn't been dropped in nearly 4 years. he was able to get back up and survive until the final bell, which I was happy about. I didn't really want to see him get stopped because I like Lara. I think he gets overlooked just because, he hasn't really been able to sell himself so well. He doesn't obviously speak English very well at all. So I feel like he's been written off. I saw a lot of kind of the American audience writing him off before the fight. Like I say, I thought he was a favourite. He was a favourite in many people's eyes. But Hurd certainly raised to the occasion and got the win. So very impressive from Hurd. It sets up quite a few fights, though, I feel, in the 154 division. Like we were saying, there's that kind of 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 names at the very top of 154. Then there's a great big drop back to some of the contenders. Lara's still up there, but Hurd has beat him quite well, especially dropping him, like I say. And now it really sets up a mouth-watering clash, I feel, between 2 unbeaten fighters, 2 unbeaten champions at 154. Mimi, I know that you know who I'm talking about. Jarrett Hurd and Jamel Charlo. What a fight that would be.
Yes, absolutely. They're both, big guys for 154. They're both very strong. They're both very aggressive. I just feel like, if I had to pick, my pick in this particular fight, I would go with Charlo. I feel like they're the more complete fighters. But however, I do feel like, it would be a great test for both of them to see exactly where they are. Great measuring stick.
Yeah, I do like the measuring sticks. They're handy in boxing. What I will say also, last week when we did the prediction league, I believe we all agreed, me, Ayaz and the listeners, we all agreed that I think we all went with Lara to win on points. That obviously didn't happen, so we don't get a point there. And we all went with DeGale to win on points, despite me not being sure. I was kind of thinking that Truax might find a way, but in the end I went with DeGale. So we've all gained a point there. We all agreed. Very rare thing that on this show. Moving over now to the final 1 or 2 bills, just to mention, just before we wrap up part 1 here. There was a fight that happened on Sunday the 8th of April, one fight that happened over in Thailand, actually. There's a guy over there now, a lot of these Thai fighters have got many, many different names, but there's a guy, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce this. Actually, Mimi, you can have a crack at pronouncing this as well, so I don't look just silly on my own. How would you say this guy's name? Hang on, let me just quickly send you his name here.
Pong Saklek Wangjongkam.
Yeah, that you know what? I couldn't have done it any better, to be honest. I'm happy with that pronunciation. I'm sure that Pong Saklek Wangjongkam's probably happy as well. But anyway, this guy here. What I should mention is, we can laugh all we like, but this guy's resume, well, I'm not going to talk about his resume. He's a former world champion, but his record is 91-5 with 2 draws. He got win number 91 on Sunday. It was at the Ram 100 Thai Boxing Stadium. He actually took on a guy with a losing record who had a record of 18-19. The guy's name was Manot. Oh my God, his name was Manot Komput, I think his name is. It was for the interim Thai Super Bantamweight title. So all the very best there to what's his name once again, Mimi?
Pong Saklek Wangjongkam.
Excellent. All the very best to him. And that really wraps up the reviewing. Just before we wrap up part 1, because in part 2, I'll be joined by another special guest. But just before we wrap up part 1, it's time now to say goodbye to Mimi Melendez, who's been absolutely fantastic. So, Mimi, once again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for replacing Ayaz. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Goodbye, guys.
Excellent. Just before we wrap up part 1, like I say, the last thing to do is to welcome our very first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the current WBA Bantamweight champion of the world, Mr. Jamie McDonnell. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, my friend. It's my pleasure. So, Jamie, it's your first time on the show. It's certainly overdue. I do just want to point out, though, for those that may not know, they should know, but Jamie is, of course, Britain's longest reigning current world champion, Jamie also hasn't lost a fight for over 10 years, and even that loss was a very controversial and close loss. It's crazy to think, Jamie, that you don't really receive the recognition or the credit for what you've achieved in boxing. But one thing I must say before I start with my first question, really, is me personally, I absolutely applaud you for your work in the boxing ring. You truly are, in my eyes, one of the best boxers Britain has produced in a long, long time. And like I say, we've had your trainer Dave Caldwell on the show many, many times. He's expressed frustration about you not really being appreciated by some of the British boxing fans. Does that affect you in any way, Jamie? Do you get frustrated by that at all?
Not really, mate, not really. But, when you put it into, when you say it like that, longest reigning champion we've got, undefeated for 10 years. I've won English, British, Commonwealth, European, final eliminators, world titles. I've done it all, and I kind of don't, it still goes under the radar, I don't get the recognition probably, what some other fighters would get if they had, what I've done, but it doesn't affect me. I just get on with it, I'm not, it doesn't affect me too much. I just get on with it and just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm happy as long as I'm winning, I'm happy just doing what I do.
Yeah, that's the right attitude to have. We've also had your brother on the show many times too. He's another one that I feel is kind of underappreciated because he's a nice guy. He's a champion boxer. He's a really likable person also. Before we get onto the fighting questions, Jamie, how awesome is it to have your brother along with you for the entire ride, not just from the outside, but also very much the inside? He's there with you day in, day out, witnessing it, taking part in it every step of the way. How proud are you to have Gavin with you?
It's brilliant. He pushes me. If I didn't have a kid with me, I push myself, don't get me wrong, but, he don't forget, he only had 5 amateur fights. Kind of, everyone writ him off. And he's seen me do it, and he wanted a piece of his son. And he's getting there, and he's had his world title fight, and he's up there, and especially after that last performance, I thought, I need to up my game. Obviously I want a bit better, brother, when we retire, and he's catching me up. His skill, he's slipping. He was slick. So we push each other, and it's always competitive. We have bantam, we have crap, but it is competitive, and it's good because it pushes us both. And it's a very lonely sport, boxing and our business. But when you've got someone there with you 24/7, you're not driving to all these sessions on your own. You're kind of not on your own all the time. You're with him, and. It's good. It's good for motivation, and it's good, to have someone alongside you, especially now he's up at that level with me. It's brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant win for him last time out, like I say. So, as I say, it's the first time you've been on. I just want to kind of run through some of your wins. Like I say, you've been undefeated for 10 years now, and it's just remarkable when you look at some of the people that you've beaten that, some of the lower weights don't really get that recognition, I suppose. Obviously, it started in this 10-year undefeated streak. Ian Napper, a guy that, was a former EBU champion. Obviously, you've beaten a former world title challenger in Jerome Arnold. You beat the eventual 2-time world title challenger, Stefan Jamoy. You beat the eventual world champion, Stewie Hall. You beat the former world title challenger, Ivan Pozo. You beat the eventual WBC world champion, Julio Cesar. You beat the former world title challenger and European champion, Bernard Inoue. You beat the eventual European champion, he's still reigning now actually, Abigail Medina. You beat the former world title challenger, Javier Chacon. You then beat Tomoki Kameda twice in a row on the road. You took his O in the first fight. You got up off the deck to win, and then the second fight you put him down. He was also obviously an ex-world champion. Then you beat former world champion Liborio Solis most recently. I have to say, what a resume, not to mention that in that time, like you said, you picked up the British, the Commonwealth, the European, the IBF and the WBA world titles. It's quite unbelievable, it's quite astounding. You've probably got one of the best resumes in British boxing right now. Would you tend to agree with that, Jamie?
I do, listening to that. I'm kind of proud of him. I've never properly looked at it or thought about it, but I always say when I retire, that's when I realise what I've done, and I'll be proud of myself, when it's all done and dusted. And that's just felt like one of the moments. It's like, hey, that sounds quite good, that. And there's still more to come, the best of me is still, I believe, still yet to come, But that sounds pretty impressive. Like I said, I've been undefeated for 10 years, I can remember when I got beaten them 2 fights, I was already playing at the game, and I told myself I'm never going to get beat again. You know, and that's been the motivation. You know, we just keep winning all the time and knuckle down. So hopefully it'd be nice to, you know, retire, you know, and not get beat again. You know, that's the plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you say, unbelievable resume. Obviously, last time out you gave Solis a rematch, and I know that originally after the first fight, your trainer wanted you to move up in weight. You didn't do that. You wanted to prove to any doubters that you were worthy of getting the decision over Solis in the first fight. Obviously, the second fight didn't go to plan. Though a cut that you sustained early on meant the fight had to be stopped prematurely. It ended up being a no contest. Some would say that, you know, with the Liborio Solis chapter finally behind you, that if you were killing yourself to make the weight, that would have been the time to move up in weight. But instead, you haven't done that, and you've now signed to take on Naoya Inoue, who has obviously a brilliant reputation of being an absolute monster. Really, he's 15-0 with 13 knockouts, but himself, he's moving up in weight to fight you. So, Jamie, what attracted you to this fight? Was it the financial reward? Was it to prove to the fans that you will fight anyone? Was it the sheer fact of a challenge on your hands, or was it a bit of everything?
It's just this, you know, it's nothing to do with money. I've had good paydays, nothing to do with that, right? I still haven't got the recognition I deserve, and for the Solis fights, the motivation was there. I trained out, did it all, but you know, when you get these monster fights like fighting Inoue and Kameda, and everyone writes you off, it's a different motivation you can bring to your training. And the plan was to move up because I wanted new challenges. I didn't think there were no left really at bantamweight. You know, I can still make bantamweight. That's why I'm here. You know, I won't go and take a fight. You know, if I thought I might not make weight, I can make the weight. To be fair, the last time I made the weight, I got a new team on board. Danny Wilson at the university, and May, my nutritionist, and it's the best I've done it. And I only had, I think, 8 weeks with Danny and 4 weeks with my nutritionist. I've had plenty of time with him now. I've done a solid 12-week camp. This will be the best I met weight, and this is a fight I want. You know, everyone's ripped me off. I've had people tweeting me, giving me credit for taking the fight, but I'm going to get knocked out and this and that. But listen, I can go and beat this kid. I know I can, and I'm hoping I get some recognition. You know, what I deserve, because I will go and fight. You know, I'll fight anyone at bantamweight. I'll fight. They've only got 2 arms, 2 legs. I believe I'm the best fighter at bantamweight on this planet, and that's why I've gone and took this fight. He's moving up in weight. I think I beat him in all ways: experience, size, range, everything. You know, I think I beat him. Obviously, he's sharp. He can bang, but can he bang when he comes up against someone like me who, you know, probably, you know, can campaign at featherweight if I want. I'm a big bantamweight, so this fight's got me going. I'm absolutely flying in training. I'm loving it. To be fair, I'm liking going at gym and doing my job. You know, it don't feel like a chore. You know, when you want to go and you want to train hard because you know you're up against it, it's nice. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying going to gym. I'm enjoying knuckling down, and I want to prove to everybody, you know, who write me off, don't write me off. You know, I can beat these kids, and I believe 100% I'll beat Inoue, and have a fantastic year this year.
And Jamie, what do you know about Inoue? Have you watched much footage of him at all?
I've watched enough, you know, to see. I know where does he. I've probably watched about 5 rounds, 4 to 5 rounds. He's good. He comes in and out. He's very fast. He can bang. But he's not. I don't think the opposition's been the best he's fought, you know, and I think I can exploit. You know, there's plenty there to exploit, and you know, as long as I do what Colwell tells me to do, and I show up on the night, I can beat him, and I can look good beating him.
Yeah, I tend to agree, to be honest. And like a true champion, you've gone on the road before to defend your titles. You've done it in America. You've done it in Monte Carlo, a little bit closer. It's a whole different thing, though, going over to Tokyo, Japan. Aside from the fight itself, are you looking forward to going out there to experience the place?
It is. Everyone says it's a great place. It's nowhere you'd pick to go, even on an holiday. But Texas won, but we enjoyed it. You know, obviously it's business, but you obviously get to see the place as well. So I'm looking forward to it. And I love fighting away. There's no pressure. As soon as you fight away, people think, oh, he's either going for money, he's not, he's probably going to get beat. But I believe, I won't take a fight just for them reasons. I go there, I believe in I can beat him, and that's why I'm going, and I'm going to experience it all. We're going out to Dubai for a couple of weeks to acclimatise and get used to the weather and all. Well, my team say that's the best place to go to get ready for Japan, because we're going to have 3.5 weeks there, but they said no, we'll go here first. So I'm away for probably 3 to 3.5 weeks getting ready for this fight, and it's costing a lot of money. So it's as long as it puts me in the best stead possible to beat this kid, that's what I'm doing. So I'm looking forward to it. I've got 6 weeks tomorrow. I'll be fighting, so I've got 3 weeks left over here, just under 3 weeks, and then we fly out, and then the last 3 weeks just solid training, and hopefully we're going to pull off a big upset in some people's eyes. It'll be a big upset, and I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant, man, brilliant. And as I said earlier, for a while there were those rumours that you were really struggling to make the weight. You said that you've brought on a new team in terms of nutrition and stuff like that. I did see a picture of you the other day on Twitter with your top off, and I must say you looked in really good shape already. Are you far from fighting weight at the moment?
Yeah, we're on course. I'm well on course. This is best I've felt, best I've looked 6 weeks in. We've got 6 weeks left. I'm feeling and I'm looking brilliant, and this will be the best I've met the weight. I've never, I suppose people, before they move up, they think, oh, I need to move up next fight. I'm struggling. I've never thought I'm moving up now. I'm struggling here. I've never felt that. So I know I can campaign at bantamweight if I choose to. We were just moving up to super bantam or maybe featherweight for these opportunities what's come my way, because he's moved up. I know it gives me that buzz I need to go and fight a great fighter, and what people believe is pound for pound this and pound for pound that. These are what I want, and that's why I was seeking moving up to super bantam or maybe featherweight, because these are the challenges I want. If I'm fighting people like Solis, who people don't think, oh, McDonnell should school this kid, he's easy work for McDonnell. You let your guard down, you still train hard, you still get on and do it, but it's the drive. It's the drive in there compared to these big fights. So as soon as this fight come along, Dave's like, do you want to stay at bantamweight, and fight this kid? And to be fair, I didn't know him. I didn't know him. And then my brother's like, I said, yeah, fair enough, I'll have it. Because Dave's like, oh, he's next best thing. He's in pound for pound. And started reeling all that off, and that were enough for me. So I said, yeah, let's take it. And then I turned to the side to my brother, and my brother's like, it's good, bro. It's good. And I said, is he? He's like, yeah. He said, but he's nothing you haven't seen before. He said, you can beat this kid. And then as soon as I got him a car on way home from gym, I looked him up. And as soon as I seen him, I know I can beat him. So that's just got me more motivated and looking forward to, a challenge and, hopefully defend my belt, which I believe I'm capable of doing, especially in Japan.
And not taking your eye off the prize here at all, but obviously the obvious fight, the easy fight to make in many people's eyes would have been yourself against Ryan Burnett. Surely that would have done big numbers in the UK. Was that ever a fight that was presented to you at all?
It's never been put to me. Obviously, the fight's there. If we won the fight, it's there. But it don't. It's a good fight, a great fight, but it don't get me buzzing like this fight does. Like Rice stepped up to world. It's a good. I said we took Ryan to Texas to spar, and I knew he'd be a world champion. I just thought it might have been when I moved up a weight until he come along fast and he's picked up these world titles. So it's a great fight, but I think I beat Inoue, and we'll see what fights are out there. If they can make that fight and it catches me and gets me motivated, we'll take that fight. But it might be a case we move up and maybe a weight or two and push for big fights. But we'll just see what happens. I've got this fight in front of me, but listen, you can't not look into the future a little bit. Every fighter says, we won't look by it. You don't look by it. you look what's out there, obviously, after this, and that gives you a bit of motivation to make sure you win, because you want the other fights and the other paydays, so you've got to make sure you win.
Yeah, of course. And coming down to the last couple questions now, Jamie, you don't have to give this to us if you don't want to, but I like to ask fighters, do you have any kind of prediction? How do you see your arm being raised come May 25th?
I'd love to just knock him out in round one, but I'm not that sort of fighter. I can't just go out there and pull a one-punch knockout. I think I look good in a 12-round fight and I win on points. Maybe by 3 or 4 rounds. I'm hoping 3 or 4 points. That's good enough for me. If I can get a stoppage, it's a bonus. If I can get a stoppage in round one, it's even better. But I think a good professional performance, and I win on points.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you certainly have the tools to do that. And finally, Jamie, I just want to really give you a chance to send a message out to any of your fans that may be listening. Anything that you want to say at all, anything you want to get off your chest, just take it away.
Yeah, just like to, hope everyone gets behind me, when I go to Japan. Believe in me, I can beat this kid. And all of my fans who, support me anyway, take me off to him. But, just for all the fans that don't believe in me, just get behind me. And, if you don't want to get behind me, don't get behind me. But I'll prove you, they're the people who give me motivation to keep winning. You've got to keep proving these out as well and keep winning. So, just watch your space. I'm going to, go and prove everyone wrong. But, yeah, thanks to everyone, who support me.
Okay, listen, Jamie, you've been on my bucket list for quite a while, so I'm happy to have finally got you on our show. Best of luck for May 25th.
No problem.
I'll be hoping and praying for a McDonnell victory. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch up sometime after.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, usually the news part, but of course, Ayaz Sumra's not with us. So, before we carry on and delve into the preview, there is a man that I must welcome now, the former heavyweight world title challenger and a good friend of mine, of course, Mr. Eddie Chambers. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, my man.
It's my pleasure, my man. It's my pleasure. As I said, we will be doing a little special segment because there's not too many fights to preview, and to fill the time, we're going to go over, myself and Eddie, some of the funny boxer nicknames, and also, of course, we did a competition. There will be a prize of a T-shirt to be given out in due course, so, stay listening for that. There's not too many fights to go over, really, but one fight happening later today on I believe it's ESPN2, at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California. Francisco Vargas, former world champion. That's the guy that practically had Stephen Smith's ear hanging off. His record 24-1 with 2 draws. He takes on Rod Sauker, believe it or not, former foe of Danny Garcia. That's a 10-rounder there. Moving over now to the Doncaster Dome, there is one fight to mention, I believe, on this bill. Former British champion Robbie Barrett, 15-3 with 1 draw. He takes on Matty Fagan, 12-3. That one's in Yorkshire, United Kingdom, of course. Steffi Ball Promotions, that one. Also, a really one of my favourite journeymen, actually. Adam Jones, 7-30 with 6 draws. He gets out again here. His opponent yet to be announced. Hopefully it's a win for him. Moving over now to Minneapolis Armory in Minnesota, USA. This one's going to be on USA Fox Sports 1. What do we have here? Edna Cherry, 36-7 with 2 draws, takes on Dennis Galaza, 16-2. Jamal James, 22-1, takes on Abel Ramos, 18-2 with 2 draws. Both those fights there are both 10-rounders. Moving over now to the King Power Stadium. This is the home of Leicester City FC in Leicestershire, United Kingdom. One fight to mention over here for the vacant British Super Featherweight title. In one corner, Sam Bowen, 12-0. He takes on Maxie Hughes, tried and tested, 18-3 with 2 draws. Real big step up this one for Sam Bowen. I believe that's going to be a fantastic fight. Really, it's gone under the radar, to be honest. Also, moving over now to the Ice Arena in Wales, Cardiff. Couple fights to mention on this one as well. Liam Williams, he gets out. I didn't even see that. 16-2 with 1 draw. I believe it's his first fight since losing to Liam Smith. He takes on Anatoly Hunanian, I think it said, 7-3 with 1 draw. Also, Craig Kennedy, 16-1. He's in an 8-rounder against Nicholas Grizunins, who's actually undefeated, 7-0 with 1 draw. Moving over now to Belfast at the Europa Hotel. Paul Hyland Jr., 17-0. He takes on David Birmingham, who's 6-1. That is a 10-rounder there. I believe Paul Hyland Jr. is actually mandatory for some big fight coming up in a few weeks, I think, so a little bit of a keep busy there. Nathaniel Wilson, that's the son of Chris Eubank Sr. His record 4-1 with 1 draw. He's the kind of what's the word, like a strange son, I suppose. He's fighting at York Hall, Bethnal Green. He takes on a guy who's 1-16. That's a 6-rounder there. We're really scraping the barrel, to be honest. And moving over now to Sunday, the 15th of April, so 3 days from now, in Japan. One fight to mention over here. Daigo Higa, 15-0, puts his WBC World Flyweight title on the line against Christopher Rosales, former opponent of Andrew Selby. His record 26-3. And also on the undercard of that, Ryota Murata, 13-1, defends his WBA World Middleweight title against Emanuele Blandamura, 27-2. Most people has probably forgot that he's the guy that got knocked out brutally by Billy Joe Saunders a few years back. I think it was for the EBU title. So yeah, two guys there that have, two opponents there that have both fought in Britain and lost against our guys. They're both fighting in world titles here, so that's a double world title card in Japan. And finally, just to wrap up the previewing, just before we bring in our little fun segment now about the funny nicknames of boxers, in Latvia at the Olympic Sports Centre in Riga, Prince Patel, 12-0 now with 1 draw. He's in an 8-rounder against a guy who's 0-1 called Andres Konovalovs, I think it said. So all the very best to Prince Patel. Right, Eddie, let's talk about these funny name fighters. I've managed to compile a bit of a list here of many different guys with hilarious names. Some are quite good names, actually. Some are quite funny. But yeah, let's go through some of the names that you may know. What are some of the names? Let's just discuss it. Like I say to the listeners, this is not a scripted segment here. It's pretty much off the cuff. I've got a list of names, but I don't know. Eddie knows lots and lots of boxers, and some of the names, Eddie, I'm going to throw at you, and you're probably going to say, yeah, that was his nickname, because some of these you'd have probably heard of. But what are some of the names that you remember? Some of the funny names that you've encountered over the years?
Oh man, honestly, there's obviously been a lot of names that I've heard. You know what I mean? Some of which that I don't even remember right now. And then it's kind of, as soon as you put pressure on somebody, they forget stuff. Especially somebody like me who's getting old. You know what I mean? But no, I keep thinking of what's the one that I've heard, the Haitian Sensation. Yes. I've heard there was one. I mean, I kind of actually like that one. It's kind of funny. It's funny to think about. But there was one that I had in my head now. I cannot remember what it was.
We can come back to it. We can come back to it. But when you go on BoxRec, you can actually type in like a surname, and it will come up with like all the boxers that had that surname. Yeah, you can do that. So funny enough, I typed in. And I need to warn the listeners that I'm about to use an explicit word, especially one of our listeners has got like a taxi in the UK. He's a taxi driver and he's always playing my podcast. So I'm going to give him a little 5-second warning there that if anybody is in the back to quickly put the podcast on pause. So I just to try and find... You're going to laugh, Eddie. Just to try and find some funny names, I just decided I'm going to type Dick into BoxRec, right? So, Eddie, it turns out there was a guy who had one fight and he got knocked out in the one fight, right? So he's 0-1, and the guy fought in 1904 when times were very different, okay? So 115 years ago nearly, and it probably wasn't a funny name back then, but this guy's name, I'm not even joking, this guy's name was Big Dick. See? Yeah. But there's more. There was actually two guys, and one was from Baltimore, And he came along in 1904 as well. So strangely, it's the same year as Big Dick, Little Dick.
Whose names did... No, you know what? You know what? I'm thinking his name might have been Richard. And they just said, they called...
Maybe. But that's his last name. So, I don't know, Richard.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Little was his first name. There was Big and Little. They might have been brothers. Who knows? But but yeah. There was also, funny enough, I actually, again, this just came up. I swear to God, there was a guy from Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, called Eddie Dick. It's spelled exactly the same as the way you spell Eddie, with the IE at the end.
Oh, why? That wasn't me. Trust me. I was not playing around when I was
1928 he made his debut. Yeah, and there's also a guy called Fighting Dick as well. 0-2 from North Carolina. But yeah, getting off the explicit names, coming on to some of the funny ones.
I should have done.
This would be. Do you remember a boxer who had a nickname, the Explosive Fin Man?
No, I don't even know.
Yeah, but you heard of the boxer Alexis Arguello, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was known as the Explosive Fin Man. I didn't know that though. I thought you might know.
Serious?
Yeah, that was his nickname.
What?
Man.
I mean, he was explosive and he was thin, so I guess.
Go on, say again.
I said one thing leads to another, right?
I suppose. But I tell you who had a good nickname. I mean, he's not fighting now. I think he's recently retired. I hope so, anyway. But James Lights Out Tony, I loved that. I really liked that name.
Oh yeah. Of course. It actually was, because you watched a lot of his fights, especially early on. There was a lot of lights going out, so he was putting people's lights out anyway. So that was perfect for him.
I know that. Sorry, go on, Eddie.
No, you're good.
No, I was going to say Layla Ali. Her nickname was She Be Stinging, which I thought was quite cool because obviously her dad with the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and her one was She Be Stinging. So that was quite clever. I also liked Michael Nunn's one. Do you remember his one?
Second to None, yeah. I did like that.
Yeah, that was clever. One of the funny ones as well. Do you remember Owen Beck?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yo, that was one of the ones I would have mentioned. Owen, what the heck?
Owen, what the heck, Beck? That was wicked. Yeah. Ernie Shavers, obviously we remember him, Eddie, as, being what they used to say was one of the hardest punchers the heavyweight division ever produced. His nickname, and I didn't even notice, do you know what his nickname was?
The Acorn, right?
The Acorn, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. I wonder why.
I have no idea. I don't know. I guess acorns. I don't know if they're hard or what. I guess hard. I don't know. I'm guessing that, if you ever pick one up, though, damn things are hard as a mug. It's like you step on it, it ain't going to do nothing. It just digs into the ground. But, I mean, I'm guessing maybe that's why he called him that. But that's how hard he punched anyway.
And a boxer that you fought, Eddie, Calvin Brock.
Yeah, the boxing banker. You know what? I don't know what. I didn't know what his name was until the fight. I thought he had a different name until we fought, and then I was the boxing banker. I'm like, huh? Like, I didn't know that was his name. He must have changed it because I thought it was something else before. I heard something somebody said. It's the boxing banker. I said, wow.
Well, was he a banker?
Huh?
Was he a banker?
Yeah. He was all in that. And I was surprised, I mean, now I don't know why he looks like he could be in something like that. He He was like more of a clean kind of suit and tie kind of dude. So it kind of seemed to me that could be him. But once that was his name, I was like, okay, well, I guess it kind of fits. But it was funny that was his name, the boxing banker.
Yeah, that was a good one. I liked that. That was a good one. But another guy that you fought as well, who. He's got kind of like, I suppose, like a bit of a scary nickname. And do you know who I'm going to say?
Yeah, I kind of feel like I know who you're going to say.
Go on then.
Sam Peter?
Oh, he had a great nickname, man. What was he like, Eddie, to fight? Because that guy, like, when he used to speak English, do you remember that infamous interview he did when he said, like, I want who next? Do you remember that?
Who next?
No, he didn't say next. He said who next.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. He was.
What was he like to fight? Because he was scary, man. He was a scary guy.
Of all the people you would think would be most menacing. Now, granted, he's a wide dude, not super tall, but wide, right? And he looks strong, and he is strong, right? But he's like the coolest acting guy on earth. One of the, not everybody, but he's just like one of those dudes that, like, I went and spoke to him after the fight. He was happy to to see and speak. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you would have thought you won. You know what I mean? He's like, he was really pleasant. Like, he seemed like a pleasant dude. He didn't seem. Don't get me wrong, his punching power and all that. And I guess he seemed young. I don't know if that makes any sense. He seemed like a kid, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, he's really, he wasn't as menacing as you would think. Now, when in the ring, obviously, his big punching power is a threat. But aside from that, man, he was actually not even dirty. He wasn't dirty at all. He didn't try any, like hitting off the break. He didn't do nothing that you would think a guy with the name Nigerian Nightmare would do. So he actually was not a bad opponent to have, to be honest. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's the truth.
Yeah, he was. That's a brilliant nickname he had there, the Nigerian Nightmare. Also, like I say, Calvin Brock, two guys that you fought there. Just to point out to the listeners, both guys were outpointed by Eddie Chambers.
No, but I got one though. I got one. My man Dominic Gwynn, he had a pretty decent name. Like, I mean, I guess it's nice, but they call him the Southern Disaster. You know what I mean? Because he's from down south. I forget where he's from. I think it's from Arkansas. I think he was
Dominic Gwynn.
Yeah, Dominic Gwynn.
Okay, yeah. Maybe he called it. Did he call himself the Disaster after or before he fought you, Eddie?
I think it was before. I think it was.
Was it during? Was it during the fight?
Yeah, I guess it was. No, but you know what? Yeah, it's funny that. But he did have that name. But yeah, it was probably more so after than before. No, but he was one of the toughest dudes. They thought he was going to be that guy at one point. And then Monty, which I actually like his name too, Monty Barrett, kind of derailed that. Monty Two Guns Barrett. I like that.
Yeah, that was a good one as well. What else have I got here? I've got a boxer called Lou Jenkins. I've never heard of him, to be honest with you.
That sounds like old school name.
Well, anyway, this guy's nickname, and it's a real mouthful. His nickname was the Sweet Swatter from Sweetwater, Texas. Where did I make this up? What is a Sweet Swatter?
I don't know.
Because I'm picturing it. Eddie, I'm picturing like a guy with like this, plastic swatter to get flies with, but he's really sweet with the way he swings it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yo. And that's not a good thing. You don't want to be a sweet swatter. You know what I'm saying? You want to be like a sinister swatter or something. But you don't want to be no sweet nothing, especially if you're a dude and you in the ring fighting. You don't want nobody to call. You know what? I forgot.
Sweet
Did I tell
Pea.
you my dad's name?
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, but I forgot it. What was it? Remind the listeners that may not know. Because Eddie's dad boxed amateur, right, Eddie?
Yeah, he was a good amateur up in the area, like around Pittsburgh and in the East Coast, basically, more so. Back then, they didn't travel, I guess, as far. You know what I mean? Maybe they had some national tournaments, but they wasn't traveling that much. But anyway, his name was Eddie Cutie Pie Chambers. That was the awesome name right there. That's gonna get you into a lot of fights, and that's exactly why they gave him that name back then.
I'm sure you told me the story of why he was called the Cutie Pie.
Well, because they say he had a lot of success, I guess, back in the day with women. I guess that's debatable. I don't know. You know what I mean? But not only that. No, it was like, because I guess he looked a certain way, but on top of that, he was like 132 pounds. Real thin, no real muscle definition or nothing like that. And my dad was 5'8", so 132. He was kind of tall. 125 and went to 132 back then. But and they would call him that name, and everybody would call him that name. So the guys he was fighting was just like Cutie Pie. You know what I mean? They get a little attitude with him, like, oh, he's a punk. We're gonna get in there, we're gonna dust him off real easily. And obviously it was the other way around. So they was they were obviously giving him that name so they could get fights and get guys gassed up thinking that he wasn't going to be much. And he actually didn't look like much, so hence that name. And obviously they gave the guys a rude awakening. So, but that was what it was. That was what it was for.
Excellent, man. Little history lesson there from Eddie. There's a guy called Luis Firpo, and again, this is a guy that I haven't heard of, Eddie. So excuse my my poor knowledge. Is that a guy that you've heard of at all before I say his nickname?
Was it Luis
Firpo?
Nah, nah.
It's going to look really bad if I research afterwards and find out he was like a 5-weight world champion. But anyway, his nickname was the Wild Bull of the Pampas, which again,
what?
the Wild Bull of the Pampas.
The Bull of the Pampas?
The Wild Bull of the Pampas, yeah.
Like Pampers, like diapers, like baby. What? What the fuck?
Not Pampers, like Pampas. Yeah, Pampers, I suppose, but not ER. not nappies, man.
Oh, I was like, yo, what the fuck? I said, what? It must be where he's from.
Wait. Let me tell you about
Arkansas or something like what?
Yeah, I think so. He must have been. I think so.
I don't know.
But it sounds a lot funnier. We'll leave it as what we thought it might have been. The nappies, the diapers. What about this guy? Eddie, you've heard of 2-ton Tony Galento? Surely.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Do you know how he got that name?
No.
I'll tell you right now, right? This is a true story. He owned a bar, like a restaurant bar, and he had a massive delivery for loads of ice. So
right.
He actually got dropped off like 2 tons of ice, right? Now, people believe that he was called 2-ton Tony Galento because he was a big fat guy. But really, it was because he got dropped off 2 tons of ice and he had no one to help him to move it from inside of a van into his freezers inside the restaurant, the bar, whatever.
Yeah.
So no one helped him. So he moved the whole 2 tons of ice himself, and he had a fight that evening. And he went. He turned up for the fight, and I think he beat the guy by knockout within about 5 rounds. He knocked the guy out, and that was it. The nickname stuck. He become 2-ton Tony Galento. That's a true story. That there's a guy here, and sorry, Eddie, go on. What?
No, that's right. That's good. I'm listening.
There's a guy here, and I haven't verified this one, but someone sent this one in, and the guy's name. The guy's name was Vaughn Shake and Bake Bean.
Vaughn Bean? Oh yeah, that was his name.
Yeah, Shake and Bake Bean. Apparently, this is true. I haven't checked that one up, but
I know Vaughn Bean. He fought Holyfield.
Did he?
Yeah, if that's the Vaughn Bean I'm thinking of.
There can't be more than one Vaughn Bean.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. And especially with Shake and Bake is the nickname. Because I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah, his name was Shake and Bake. Yeah, I've just checked it. Yeah, 45-5. His record was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sean Shake and Bake Bean.
And his last fight was in 2005.
Yeah,
he got beat. He got beat by Dimitrenko, a man that Eddie Chambers later beat by decision. Moving on to the next name, we've got Humberto Soto. He's got a good name.
Yeah, I never even thought of his name. What was his name?
The Crafty Little Fox.
That's his name?
Yeah, the Crafty Little Fox.
I guess he's crafty, give him that name. Why not?
Owen, what the heck, Beck? Someone else sent that one in again. I was reading this one out the other day.
Everybody.
Henry Sugarpoo Buchanan.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? I never thought of that. Honestly, I'm not hating. I just don't like the Sugarpoo, the part. You know what I mean? Like, that just sounds, for a fighter. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess Cutie Pie is not good, or, some of these names are just not good for fighters, and I guess that's kind of good, but to use and maybe make people think you're a little soft, I don't know why they would think that, especially if you're a professional at a top level. But still,
I'm giving you an ultimatum, Eddie. Yeah.
Okay.
For the rest of your life, you've got to have one nickname.
Oh.
Okay. But it's out of these two.
Okay.
So the first one, your name can be Eddie Sugarpoo Chambers, right? That's actually got a ring to it, by the way. No pun intended. Listen. Or you can have the name that David Hay gave you that time, which I still think was funny, Eddie.
I do too. I actually like that name. And
for those that may not know, Eddie, what was the name he gave you, man?
Fast Food Chambers. No. Fast Food Eddie Chambers.
Just for people that may not know, obviously, Eddie.
Yeah, I swear.
Eddie Chambers. This has been the funniest podcast ever, by the way. But Eddie Chambers, he's fast Eddie Chambers, and he's called that because he's insanely fast for a heavyweight with his hands. But I suppose David Hay thought that maybe he gained a bit of weight in his belly, and he decided.
He really said gained a bit of weight. Oh, they call you fast food, but you ain't gained that much weight, did you? Hold up. You ever see the Great White Hype? That's what I should have been looking like. If they call me fast food, that's the perfect name for him. You kidding me? Not the Grim Reaper. They call him fast food. That's
Eddie, what name are you rolling with for the rest of your life? Fast Food Eddie Chambers or Eddie Sugarpoo Chambers?
I'm definitely rolling with fast food. That's my matter of fact. I swear, you think I'm joking? I am going to change my name. I'm dead up. I'm gonna do that shit. I'm putting fast food on my trunk and everything. Fast food Eddie Chambers. It is for the second half. That's how we rolling. I'm dead ass serious. You think I'm joking? Watch, you gonna see him this motherfucker was serious. He put on his trunks and on his robe fast food. He gonna have the announcer say fast food. Yeah, that's gonna be me, son. I'm telling you. Watch, you gonna be laughing because I'm putting that on my stuff. Watch. I may not say it though because I don't know if it'll sound as good. But if you imagine Michael Buffer saying that, or Jimmy Lennon, oh man.
They've probably never said fast food in their lives, those two guys.
Yeah, they probably haven't. You know what I mean? Even walking past McDonald's, they don't even let that come out their mouth. But they will do it now. They will do it now.
That would be so funny.
Oh, you better believe if it's a big fight, especially if I got a 10-pack, you know what I mean? I'm all shredded up and ready to roll. I'm definitely going to be called fast food then. that is going to be my... Even if I was fat, definitely gonna be that.
There was a guy. There was a guy from London. His name was actually Samuel Elias, but he changed his. Well, he didn't change his name, but he was known as Dutch Sam. Now, there's nothing funny about that. He was born in. I think in 1775. Well, anyway, he had a boxing career between 1801 and 1814. So we're really, opening up the history books here to get this guy. But his nickname... Say again?
That's it. Damn, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, this could have been a relation to one of us at some point. But anyway, his name was the Terrible Jew. That was his nickname.
Terrible. Oh, no.
Eddie.
Oh, no.
Listen to this guy, though. There was a guy, have you ever heard of this boxer called Andrew Maynard?
Yeah, I have heard. That name sounds familiar. Andrew Maynard, yeah.
Well, anyway, his nickname, I suppose they just couldn't come up with a nickname. They couldn't come up for it. Wait. They couldn't come up with a nickname for him, so his nickname was just Boxing. They used to introduce him as Boxing Andrew Maynard. I'm being serious.
I know. I heard of him now because I have. There's a few guys. I think there's a few guys that had that. Boxing, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we're doing, right? So, I mean, everybody's nickname should be Boxing even if you haven't, that should be the nickname on top of the nickname. You know, like you know, boxing fast food Eddie Chambers. That's me. You know what I'm saying? I might change my shit to that now.
Oh my God.
Think boxing the fast food. You get it? Boxing the fast food before you take it home to eat it. It's me, right? Boxing fast foods. No, boxing the fast food Eddie Chambers. You got to say it all together too, because if you don't say it all together, it won't make much sense. But if you say it like that, we got it. Let's do that.
You should definitely do that. We got sent this one in on Twitter from @BoxingTribeUK. He's an Irish guy. People that aren't following, go follow him. He posts lots of streams and stuff like that for big fights. He's a good guy. He sent in a guy called the Punching Postman, a guy called Sam Hill. But when I actually checked that out, Sam Hill was the Punching Policeman, not the Punching Postman. So,
oh my God! Not with all this police brutality crap going on around right now. We don't need to hear nothing about no punching policemen at all.
No, we don't. Well, it'd be better to have punching policemen than shooting policemen right now, of course. But
that is true.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't win. I'd like to give that a winner, but he just got it wrong a tiny bit. So yeah, that one. Thanks for sending that one in, Boxing Tribe. Boxing Tribe UK, I should say. Archie Moore, Eddie.
Yeah.
Do you remember his nickname?
If you say it, I'll probably
the old mongoose.
Yeah, the mongoose. Yeah.
That's a contender there. That was sent in, by the way, on Twitter by a lady called. I really apologise if I'm going to say this name wrong, but I believe it's @Sedem Amma. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's the lady that sent that one in. The old mongoose, Eddie. Not really the prettiest name, I suppose, but definitely a bizarre and funny one.
Yeah, it's nice though. I like the mongoose, that old mongoose. Yo, you know the one I think is gonna win though. You know what? Because it makes very little sense. But it's just I don't understand how somebody can say that. But you know which one I'm thinking about, the one you told me last week.
Which one?
The Roy Jones one.
Oh wait, we're coming to that.
Yeah.
We're coming to that. No one sent that one in. If somebody sent that one in, they would have won 100%.
Without a doubt.
But there's a wicked one here, and this one got sent in by @Ben Molyneux 182, and this one's really good. A boxer called Juan Lazcano. Do you remember his one?
No.
Eddie, this guy's nickname was the Hispanic Causing Panic.
Yeah,
that's wicked.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I do remember that one. Oh, what was his name? What's his name again?
Juan Lazcano, I believe. I haven't checked that one out though.
Hold on, now there's another guy that was called that. He was
way.
Damn, maybe I just don't understand the way you're saying this. Say his name again.
Oh, I'm not saying it again if I keep saying it wrong. Let me check this guy out. Maybe there was two. I'm gonna check this guy out here.
Damn, I'm trying to remember.
No, he has got that name. He's 37-5 with one draw. He could have been the contender. He took on Ricky Hatton actually.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. What was his name again?
His name was Juan Lazcano, like Juan, you know.
Oh, Juan Lazcano. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Oh, my pronunciation was fine.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
He lost to Jose Castillo, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Juan Lazcano. He was like a contender at one point. He was one of the guys out. I forgot all about him. Yeah, the Hispanic.
That's a brilliant one.
I forgot about that. That was one of my favorite names. Was that, yo?
That's a brilliant one. That is a real contender. I think that's looking like the winner right now, to be honest. What else have we got? We've got, also sent in by Ricey_SUFC. Ricey's one of our most loyalist listeners, to be honest. He's been listening for a long, long while now. Give him a shout out, actually, Eddie. Ricey. He's a great, great guy.
Oh, say it? Oh, hey, well, I want to give a major shout out to Ricey. I like the name, too. He's he's obviously a very special individual, and he likes our show. You know what I mean? It's not our show, you know. I mean,
Yay! Overstepping the mark, Eddie.
Yeah, you know, don't be trying to take put yourself in the money. You ain't in there yet. You know what I'm saying? But but we do appreciate. Okay, I do appreciate you from the outside. You know, supporting the show. You know what I mean?
He sent in Darnell Wilson's nickname.
Oh, damn! I cannot believe I forgot about that one. Yeah.
How did you forget about that? The Dingaling Man.
You know, I heard that it had nothing to do with him, with his punching power in boxing. I heard it had something to do with something that I'm not even going to say right now. But that's what I heard. I mean, I could be wrong, but his name was the Dingaling Man. I don't.
Well, the less said, the better on that one. But yeah, thank you for sending that one in, Ricey. Also sent in by @KingNary. This is a guy called Carl Davis. He sent in a guy called Carl Place, who I'd never heard of, but his nickname was the Bulb Head. The bulb head? Like the light bulb head, but just the bulb head.
The bulb head? Oh my God. And you know what's bad about that? Light bulbs are really, really, really brittle. You could crack a light bulb on anything. On a paper towel, you could crack a damn light bulb. So you don't want to be called the bulb head. I mean, I just don't feel like that's a good name at all for you. I mean, it's funny, but it's not good to have. I mean,
he did okay. He retired. It's looking like he retired. He hasn't fought for just over 6 years now. So I guess he's retired. But yeah, his record was 16-1. So.
Well, hey, the bulb didn't bust too much, so he did some good stuff, man. You know.
Nope. Yep. Credit to the bulb head. Thank you for sending that one in. Also, this one, and again, Eddie, if somebody would have sent this one in, I've checked this one out as well. This is verified. If someone would have sent this one in, they'd have probably won the T-shirt. There's a guy called Adam Richards, and he was called Adam the Swamp Donkey Richards. Why, Eddie?
Swamp Donkey, yeah.
Yeah, that's like I said, if someone would have sent that one in, I would have probably give it to them, to be honest. Also, go on.
That's a major contender, but
that is a contender. But nobody sent it in. I actually found that one myself.
You did?
Yeah, I found that one myself. What about Rendell Monroe, the boxing binman?
The boxing.
He was a good fighter, though, man.
But you know what? And there's a lot of guys, right, that have those like almost bad names. I mean, I guess bad in the sense that you would think because they're so good that they wouldn't have a name. They would, say that they're not good. I mean, you would think a boxing trash man would be trash, right? But no, a lot of these good guys with these bad names are actually pretty damn good.
Definitely, man. I mean, I mentioned his son earlier because his son's now a boxer called Tim Tszyu. Costazu, his nickname was the Thunder from Down Under, obviously, being from Australia. That's a brilliant nickname, man.
I do like that. I did like that. You know what? You know what's funny? It's been so long. When you look at these guys, I forgot that was his name. Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Damn.
And also Carmen Basilio, what a fighter he was back in the day. We remember him for his many, many fights. He was a brilliant, brilliant champion. I think he died just a couple of years ago as well, so a very sad loss for the boxing world. But he had a great, great nickname, the Upstate Onion Farmer. That would have won.
Yeah, you gotta win. You gotta win with an onion farmer name, dog. You gotta win. The Upstate Onion Farmer. That's numero uno. That's
the best one. But coming down to the nicknames that you said earlier, Eddie, about the Roy Jones one.
That has to be a winner.
But there's a similar one to that. There was a guy called Richard. I think his name was Richel Hersisia.
Yeah.
And this guy's name, he was from the Netherlands. He was actually known as the Dutch Sonny Liston.
The Dutch Sonny Liston?
Yeah, the Dutch Sonny Liston. Huh?
The Dutch Sonny, I guess. I mean, that one I think is a little bit better. In a sense, when I say better, I mean, makes more sense because, you could be Dutch and be like Sonny Liston. But this other one, I just don't understand how you can say that.
No, I agree, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, this guy here, Richel Hersisia, the Dutch Sonny Liston, he retired with a record of 32-3. He only lost to Audley Harrison. He lost to back in 2004. He lost to Taras Bidenko. I remember him, and he lost to Ray Mercer in his last ever loss, a majority decision, that one. But yeah, shout out to the Dutch Sonny Liston. Also, let's talk about Shagayev. He's the White Tyson. That's another bad one.
I forgot about him. Yeah, he was the White Tyson. Yeah, I do remember that.
And also, there was the one that you really like, Eddie, a guy that's still boxing now, Ishmael Tete. He fought in the UK a couple months ago. I think he got stopped in the first round. The Black Roy Jones Jr. He's from Ghana. he's from Ghana, so he's actually black as well. And obviously Roy Jones is black himself. It doesn't make much sense, Eddie, does it?
No. How you call the Black Roy Jones Jr.? I get why he said it, because he's like probably real dark, and Roy Jones is like fair, a bit fair, more fair than him, I would think. But to say the Black Roy Jones, because black is a color, yeah, but black is also like kind of a race, right? I mean, so if you're both the same, how you gonna call yourself the Black Roy? It just doesn't make. Now you could say the White Roy Jones Jr., but that would make even less sense in this situation. But to say the Black Roy Jones, oh my, he's African, right? He could have said the African. Why did he just say the African Roy Jones Jr.?
Your guess is as good as mine, Eddie. Your guess is as good as mine. Honestly, nobody knows. There was another guy though, Freddie Norwood. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I do remember Freddie Norwood. Yeah,
he was bald, and I suppose someone along the way must have told him he looks a little bit like Marvin Hagler, just in the sense really that he was bald, and his nickname was Little Hagler. You know what I mean? So
I remember Freddie Norwood. Yo, he did. I guess he did kind of look like him a little bit. The little one, also Little Hagler. Yeah.
And not to be disrespectful to the great boxer, but Bernard Hopkins, Eddie, fellow Philadelphian, but fellow Philadelphian, Bernard Hopkins, when he went with the Alien, that never suited him, that nickname. I don't know what that was about, when he used to walk out with the Alien mask on.
You know why they called him that, right? It's because, I'll tell you why. They called him that, well, he was the executioner for years.
Yeah, but that was better, though. That was a good nickname.
Of course, but you know why they call him the Alien was because they were saying he must not be from this world, I guess, because he's so old and still able to compete with the young guys. He's just got to be like an alien or something. You know what I mean? So they just call him the Alien. I don't
know. It just was a bit weird when you see like a 50-year-old man walking out with an alien mask on, you know?
Yeah, it does. Look, that would make you a little like, what the fuck is this? But I guess that was his stick. That was his new thing. Like, that was his reinvention. Like, him being, like, he can't be human, basically. You know what I mean? He's an alien. You know, he can't be like, somebody this old should not be competing on this level. But I guess that was the reason they just calling him the Alien. But I guess for whatever reason it worked for him. But it's fun.
And coming down to the last two now. I mean, he's a friend of the show, but he does have quite a, well, I don't want to say silly because I like the guy, but Dennis Duglin, the mama's boy. I mean, obviously we know it's because his mother is his corner woman and his trainer, and his mother used to box as well. But that is like, I suppose, up there with the funny ones for sure. You know?
Yeah, that's but you know what? He is a mama's boy. I mean, it ain't like the name don't suit it, you know? The mama's boy definitely works there. You know what I mean? She's definitely doing the whole job for him. So, well, not the whole job. He's still got to fight, but you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, she's in the corner. She's doing everything. She's training him. Can't be mad.
No, I like him, you know, so not laughing too much at that. But this one would have won as well, Eddie. And I don't think that you'd have heard of this guy because he retired with a record of 3-12. He won all 3 of his fights by knockout, but he lost 9 of his 12 fights by knockout himself. His name was James Hicks. He was actually a cruiserweight from Arkansas, USA. Southpaw he was as well, but it just didn't really work out for him in the boxing world. But anyway, he had a very, very funny sense of humour when it comes to choosing his nickname. His name was, like I said, his name was Mitch Hicks. His name was James Mitch Hicks. But his alias, his nickname, Eddie, a brilliant nickname for a guy that loses more than wins. Hold my beer.
James, hold my beer, Hicks, or what the fuck? Or Mitch, hold my beer. You know what? I like that.
You can't have that as well, man. There's too many. You're gonna be like, hang on a minute. What are we saying it now? It's gonna be box the fast food and hold my beer, Eddie Chambers.
I'm the new champ. I'm gonna get a belt somehow, and it's gonna be this way right here. I'm getting the fast food. We're gonna say no. Forget boxing the fast food. We're just gonna leave it at fast food Eddie Chambers. That's the name. That is the name. I'm gonna have a box of fries stenciled on my trunks, and I'm telling you.
Well, for a long time, Joseph Parker was sponsored by Burger King. Do you remember that?
Hey, damn, that could have been his name. Joseph Burger King Parker. That would have been dope. Forget whatever name he got now. He could have used that thing.
Do you know?
Burger King sponsorship. Damn.
Eddie, talking of journeyman, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at some of the worst journeymen that have ever laced up, a pair of gloves, and there was one guy. He doesn't, well, he's kind of got a funny name, I suppose, but like his name was Eric Crumble. Have you heard of this guy?
Yo, my God.
You heard of this guy, though, Eddie?
I think I might have heard of him.
He had 31 fights. How many do you think he won?
None.
He won none. He lost 31 times. How did he lose all 31 times, Eddie? Did he get took to the decision every time? No. He got knocked out every single time he got in the ring. He never got to round 3 in his life. He got knocked out in the first and second round every fight 31 times in a row before he gave up.
Damn. He was like, yo, he was like, man, I don't care about getting knocked out. I've done it 20 times before. I'm going to go in again. And I'm going to win this time.
I was speaking to one of my friends the other day, though, and he was saying, surely if you get knocked out about 5 times in a row, you just think, do you know what? Maybe boxing's not for me.
He was like, man, look, eventually I'm going to get up and walk through this thing. No, sir. It just never happened.
But Eddie, if we could give Eric Crumble a nickname, it would have to be Apple, right?
No, Cookie. And they would have to put an S on his name too. Cookie Crumbles. That's what they call his ass. He got knocked out every time. Damn. He didn't even see the third round.
He didn't even see the third round.
Damn, in a 4-round fight. He didn't even see the damn. That's just to think about. He didn't even see he never saw the light at the end of the tunnel. He never even saw the damn tunnel. He just kept getting knocked the hell out.
We'll put it this way, right? He was from Wisconsin. He, in his whole career, he had 31 fights, like I say. He only boxed 42 rounds in his whole career. So most of the time he got stopped in the first round. Eddie, you've probably done about how many rounds of sparring would you say you've done in, I don't know, like when you're getting ready for a fight, you do more than 42 rounds in one camp, right? Way more than that.
Way more.
You do that in a week?
For me, I've done like when I was getting ready when I was getting ready for Tomas, I did a major week, 1 week, and we were doing 4 days a week, 2 days. It was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday sparring. So we did, I think I did 10 on Monday, 12 Tuesday, 15 Thursday, and
That's
12.
it. You've just done Eric Crumble's whole career in like 3 days.
So that's what I'm saying. So see, that isn't that crazy when you think about that? And think about this: if I fought four 12 round, three 12 rounds, I would have just missed it. But 4 12 rounders, I would have had his career anyway. I would have been over. You know what I mean? So that's damn. Yeah. I feel bad when you think about that. That's bad, man. Damn.
Yeah, but the mad thing is, like when you get knocked out. In fact, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go a little bit deeper here. He made his debut in 1990. He got knocked out in the second round against a guy who was 2-0. And then he decided to not box for 3 years because he obviously didn't really fancy, boxing. He probably got knocked out straight away and thought, yeah, maybe not. But then he decided to box again in 1993, got knocked out in the first round. Then he fought in 1994, got knocked out in the first round again. And then 1 year, he was really busy though. He was really, really busy in 1997. No, sorry, in 2000. Yeah, no, like he was literally getting knocked out about 4 times a year. But the mad thing is his career spanned from 1990 to 2003, so for 13 years.
You getting your ass whooped for 13 years?
How much money he made? Do you know what? I want to track him down though, Eddie. If anybody's listening to this who knows how we can get hold of Eric Crumble, I think he deserves a seat on this show.
No doubt. He's
on it.
Like, you know what though? And you make jokes and you laugh about it, but to have to deal with that and to wake up every day saying you chose boxing as a career because it didn't choose you, but you chose boxing.
Didn't choose you.
Damn sure didn't choose you. But you chose boxing as your career, and just to keep getting reminded every day or every time you step in the ring that you're just not going to be the guy. And not only are you just not going to be the guy, but you ain't even going to be a guy that's going to win. Like, not one time. Not even he didn't even won a round in his whole career. I just can't. This constant being on the losing end cannot be fun. Damn.
One time I fought a guy in February 2000. He fought a guy who was 8-95, and he still got knocked out by him in the second round.
8-90. Well, you know what? See, this is the thing about those types of fights. Now, granted, 8-95. I mean, you should have stopped a long time ago yourself. But he has over 100 fights. You know what I'm saying? Now, being that he won a few of them, because this dude's record, he's on pace for passing him by far. He ain't won a fight in 31. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that guy that's 8-95 got to 94 and just like went on an 8-1 streak or something. Could have happened. Yeah, it could have happened. But no. But anyway, like you look at that and it's like he has a lot of fights, regardless of how he got those fights and whether he got knocked out in the first round in 93 of them. He's still got a lot of experience. He's been in a lot of fights and he's won 8 fights or 7 fights previous to his, right? So, to their fight. So, I mean, it looks bad and it is horrible, but there's still a lot of experience. Like there's guys that I've known that have fought guys with records of like 10-20 or something like that. And you got to think he won 10 fights. Now, granted, they're probably against guys that he should, that are easy to beat or guys that he could beat. But those 20 losses, you're like, oh man. And you got to look behind the numbers too with some of those, because you'll take a fight like that thinking it's going to be easy, and you go in there and get your ass whooped. You're like, how did this bum beat me? Well, probably because he went to people's hometown and lost like about 17 split decisions that he should have won. And that stuff happens, man. You figure if you look at the guy, one of the guys Michael Nunn lost to, funny that we brought him up second to none, but he lost to Steve Little, who was like, I think had a record of like almost a 500 record. You know what I mean? A little while previous to fighting Michael Nunn. So, he had a lot of fights and all that stuff, but he had a lot of losses. Another guy, Maurice Harris, had a lot of losses, but probably one of the more talented heavyweights that was around at one point. So, you look at these records, man, you got to make sure you get what's behind the numbers before you go ahead and just jump in there and fight one of these guys.
Oh, man. Boxing is crazy. I'm looking at a guy now who, you've probably heard of this guy, Eddie. His name was, oh gosh, he was a journeyman. You must have heard of him. His name was Reggie Strickland. Do you know about him?
Yes. Yeah, now I know about him. He got like his record. I know you're going to say it, but his record was
66 wins, 276 losses, and 17 draws. Right now, he fought. No, but the funny thing is, he fought a guy, Rob Bleakley, who actually. Say again.
Rob Blakely.
Yeah, he fought a guy called Rob Bleakley, who ended up with a record of 77-37. But anyway, when he fought this guy, Rob Bleakley, he fought him like, I just want to count how many times these guys actually fought each other. Let me look for Reggie Strickland. I've lost it now. Reggie Strickland. Right, so they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had 6. They had 6 fights, and I think that Rob Bleakley won every single one. I just don't understand. I don't understand why you'd want to rematch the same guy 6 times.
And you keep losing. But I'll tell you, no. You know what it was? I'll tell you what it was, and I'll tell you what happens in a lot of these situations. Like,
come on, make it quick, and we'll go on to the next subject. Go on.
Okay. You know, these guys, they look for, like, okay, well, we need somebody that we know we can beat. We're struggling. We need a name, especially if you got some people around you or if you're doing your own career. Some people do that. And they feel like, well, we can get Reggie again. He'll come and lose. He'll put like a little bit of a struggle on for like about 5 seconds, and then we'll knock him out or beat him up, you know what I mean, or whatever. So that's what happens. You know what I mean? You get one of these guys that you know is a touch that you can win, and then just get stuck on him because it's easy to get it.
Do you know, Eddie, back in the day, Sam Langford and a guy called Henry Willis, they fought each other. In fact, no, sorry, Henry Wills, they fought each other 22 times.
See? There you go.
That's some real beef right there, eh?
Like, I hate you. We're going to fight every chance I get. And we're going to make money, too. A whole bunch of times. 22 to be. Yeah. That's just crazy. I couldn't imagine doing that. Like, I fought Rossi twice, and they're like, yo, I know you too well, man. Get out the ring. I don't even want to talk to you no more. I said, no, I don't want to fight you again. You know, it gets to be like that. I think, was that the only guy that I fought twice? No, I fought a guy early on twice.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I think so.
Well, it was Rossi and this other guy, his name was Dave Chappelle, that I fought twice.
Oh, yeah, the talk show host.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but, yo, real talk, that was his name too.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
Yeah. But I think that was the only guys I fought twice. No. That's not true. I fought another guy that was like 6'9" or 6'8". His name was Joe Lenhart. I fought him twice. Big son of a bitch. I fought him twice. He's big as hell. But I think that's it.
But yeah, we had to, like I say, fill a bit of a gap because remember, this weekend we were supposed to be treated to 2 huge boxing bills. We were supposed to be getting the welterweight showdown between Jeff Horn and Terence Crawford. That fell through because Crawford picked up an injury. We were supposed to have, on this side of the pond, Billy Joe Saunders defending his WBO middleweight title. He had to pull out with an injury as well, so we were robbed there of 2 good boxing bills. So like I say, there wasn't too much really going on this weekend coming up, so we filled the gap there with some, I'd like to say, some funny moments for sure, certainly for myself and Eddie.
Yes, sir.
Just before I let you go, Eddie, anything that you want to say to the listeners at all? I know that the other day you came out with a very annoying April Fool's Day joke on Instagram that didn't fool me. I don't think it fooled me really, but yeah, you definitely got a lot of people in your sweet swatting net.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was a nice one right there. Well, you know, the fast food guy had to do that. I had to deliver on my fast food, you know what I mean? But you know what it is? You know, sometimes it's things get a little too stiff, you know what I mean? You got to loosen people up. So that's what I was doing, man. I was just loosening everybody up. You know, they had the whole little beef thing with me, and it wasn't no real beef, to be honest, but that whole little issue with me and Anthony Joshua. So I kind of figured, you know, me and Ant thought of it like let's pull off this nice elaborate little April Fool's joke on my peoples, and it kind of worked.
I was going to say that because Ant, who I thought would have definitely known about it, he commented on it like, "Yeah, let's go, champ," like as if it was proper happening, you know?
Yes. So you got to have people in your corner that's going to actually, because see the thing is, if I would have just said it and he would have been surprised, then you know maybe the cat would have been kind of. But if I say it, then he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get him. Let's do this." That kind of thing. It's like, oh, he must have knew about it. So yeah, this is a great thing. So trust me, I had people close to me that didn't even know about it. They're like, my wife, because I didn't even say nothing to her about it. She comes to me, "What's this about you fighting Anthony Joshua?" I was just joking. That's not nice. Y'all be putting stuff like, how that stuff goes. You know what I mean? But
you know that you need to keep your voice down in case she comes in there and hits you over the head.
The only thing the hammer's under the bed, so I'm good. But she's actually, no, it's not. She better not get this damn hammer. But anyway, she's in the shower. I don't think she can hear me, thank God. But no, but for real, man, honestly, stuff like that, man, it's just trying to keep everything light and enjoyable, man. The April Fool's joke was just the tip of it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and change my name altogether to Fast Food Eddie. And that is not an April Fool's joke. That is real. I'm definitely doing that. You think I'm joking? The next nice pair of trunks and outfit that I have, people going to see Fast Food Eddie with like McDonald's fries. I'm not going to put McDonald's though because, I don't got enough money to fight with McDonald's. So I'm not even going to try to get that on my shirt. But what I will do is I'll just put some fries on there.
Definitely. Or a burger, like a juicy burger.
You know what? That might be better.
I think it would.
Okay, well, what about a burger and fries and a drink? You can do that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to go with the hat trick. I think just the burger. Just the burger, I think.
You say you don't want to go with the hat trick. Okay, all right, the burger. I will roll with the burger. We're going to roll with the burger. I think I'm joking. And then I got to make it like it was fast, so I'll put like some lines behind it.
Make it, yeah.
Smoke emoji thing. Put that on with the burger too, like the burger's moving real fast.
I've got loads of ideas now. Like the top, like the bun on the top could be like a boxing glove. It really could work.
That's dope. I didn't even think about that with sesame seeds on it. That'd be like nails. That'd be like the nails, like you know what I mean? That's dope. See, yeah. Yo, that's what I'm gonna do. You think I'm joking? I'm gonna do that shit. You think I was like give me a sesame seed glove instead of a sesame seed bun? That's what I need. Yes, with some beef in between. Even though I don't eat beef, I'm good. Let's do that.
Some Mexican beef. No, but Eddie, when can the listeners expect to hear some news? If you can give any kind of indication of when you next be in the ring at all, will there be any kind of announcement anytime soon? If so, when? What can you tell them? Update them.
To be honest, I was looking at something like I wanted to be something good by May. I wanted to be in there by May. We actually had a plan and a possible fight that was going to be happening fell through. Because of some other engagements the guy was into. So
that was at heavyweight or cruiserweight?
I was probably going to be heavyweight, but it's going to be lower-ish, you know what I mean, weight. I wasn't going to be too super heavy. That was, on my side, but I don't know what the other guy was going to do. But it was going to probably be above the cruiserweight limit anyway. So, but and then that stuff didn't work out, and understandably so, it was another opportunity he must have had. So whatever. But then I wanted to plan to do some things maybe in May, maybe up near my hometown, but no go with that so far. It's just not easy, man. You know what I mean? I guess I caused the fights that I'm looking for, to be honest, I didn't want anything major right away, but the cost of getting an opponent for somebody like me with the name I have, becomes problematic for smaller time promoters to, get enough funds in, what they're going to make on the live gate, because that's all they have is the live gate. Ticket sales and all, so we got to figure out a way to do it, and it's obviously got to have somebody in there either that is willing to take nothing to fight me, which is doubtful, or somebody or me to basically pay for that opponent, and or fight a big time or bigger name guy, in which you wouldn't do on a small card. But that's really where the issues have been so far. But anyway. I'm hoping something, during this early part of the summer, You know what I mean? We get something nice going, at least something while I'm in the ring. You know, it'll be good. Just start getting the engine revved up, and then maybe another one. You know, going into the winter time that I don't even want to think about because we barely out of this winter here. But going into the winter time, maybe another one. So we'll see.
Okie dokie. Well, like I say, we will certainly keep our eyes peeled and ears open for what's next with you, Eddie. Just before we let you go and bring in guest number 2, which person do you believe we should give the T-shirt to with the best nicknames?
I think, you know what I mean? I think it was I think there was like 2, right? There was what was the one we were talking about? There were 2 we were talking about start talking so much and lose out on some of these names. But the one was I think one of the ones was the Hispanic causing panic. Somebody called it Juan Lascano's name, which I really liked that one. And what was the other one that we were talking? There was another one. It was really, really, really good that we were trying to. We can't use the Black Roy Jones, but that would have been my pick.
Yeah.
But that would have been
the
my
old
pick.
Mongoose was in there.
Oh yeah, Mongoose was one. That was one.
Bulbhead was in there. Dingaling Man.
The Dingling Man was another one. Yeah, the Dingling Man. I think I gotta go. Honestly, all of those are good. I mean, I think I still gotta go with I gotta go with the Hispanic causing panic. I gotta go with that one. I like that one, man. That was the one. And I remember him. He was actually a good fighter, but he just couldn't get over that hump. But yeah, I really like that name.
Okay, well that's it. You chose it there. The winner of that one, the guy that sent that one in, was Ben Molyneux on Twitter. Ben Molyneux 182. So send me at BoxHard Podcast a direct message of your your size and your address and that, and we'll send that one out as quick as possible. So like I say, thank you very much to everybody that entered, and congratulations to our winner Ben Molyneux 182. And just before we bring in guest number 2, Eddie, it's time to let you go. Thank you once again, like I say, for stepping in Ayaz's shoes. Ayaz always seems to go missing. You are always on standby for me. We've got a really busy life, so I really appreciate you coming on and making the time for me as always.
It's never a problem, man. You're my man, and I like the show. Love the show. And it's our show. No,
it is our show.
I told you, I'm not the money. I know. No, but no, it's appreciated, man. Anytime you need me, I'm there.
Very much appreciated, Eddie. Thank you very much. Right, just before we wrap up part 2, like I say, there's one last thing to do. That, of course, is to welcome our second and final guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBC Junior-Middleweight champion of the world, the Latin Snake, Mr. Sergio Mora. Sergio, welcome back on the show, my friend. It's been quite a while.
Been a year and a half, actually.
Yeah.
Glad to be back.
I'm glad to have you back. So, Sergio, like you say, we haven't spoke since September 2016. We spoke to you on fight week of your rematch against Daniel Jacobs. Obviously, that fight didn't go to plan for yourself. You were stopped in the 7th. The first fight between you both, though, I remember us discussing that fight, and, it was a colossal 2-round fight in which you were both up and down. How would you assess, though, not to look too far in the past, but how would you assess your performance in the second fight, though, as opposed to the first fight?
I can't compare the two. I'm not one to make excuses, so I never even bother making them. But if you want to know my opinion, in retrospect, I mean, it's 2 different people that Daniel Jacobs fought. The first time, I was amped, I was ready, I was healthy, and I had a great game plan. I got caught early. He's a big puncher, so I got caught early. I wasn't shook. He tried to finish me recklessly, and I caught him. I injured my ankle. Who knows how things would have turned out, but he had big power, so I don't think he would have lasted the distance in the first fight. So fast forward 13 months later. Now, mind you, I tore ligaments in my ankle. I had a slight fracture, and I had a cast for several months. And even when I took out the cast, it was a soft cast. It wasn't a hard one. I still had to be careful for another 3 months. So that's 6, almost 7 months hopping around on one foot. So your leg atrophies. I didn't have the same strength bouncing around on one foot for 6, 7 months. So then when I got the call to get the rematch, it was I had a 3-month window to train really, really hard, which I did. And I think that was to my detriment, because after being off my leg for almost 7 months and then just going 100% in training camp at my age, I just think it was just a recipe for disaster, because come fight night, I had no legs, man. I really didn't. And I really didn't know if it was just because maybe this is the end of my the road as a boxer. My age caught up to me. I overtrained. That's another thing, because I trained really hard for that second Jacobs fight, because I knew what to expect this time. So I went, I went really hard on my sparring partners, on camp. I was having trouble with my sparring partners too, which never happens. And then ultimately, I just had a bad night. And that wasn't me in there, and I know you hear that a lot, but it wasn't me, because I had no legs, 0 legs. So fast forward a year and a half later, and then I fight Perro, and then I realized, I started fast in that fight, but little by little, the legs started fading away around the 4th, 5th round, which were the rounds where Perro had some success, Angulo. So I don't know whether to blame inactivity or my age. I really don't know until I fight again, because then if I stay active, then I know for sure where I'm at.
Very honest answers there from you there. Obviously since the Daniel Jacobs rematch, this is the first time we've had you on the show. That's simply because you haven't had a fight, since then. Why was there so much inactivity, Sergio? I know that you're saying that, you had to nurse a couple of injuries. Is that the only reason?
No. The second time around wasn't the injury. The first Jacobs fight was because of the injury.
No, I mean the inactivity.
Around,
the inactivity since that second Jacobs fight.
Yeah, exactly. Since the Jacobs fight, which is a year and a half ago, the inactivity had nothing to do with injury. It had to just do with the lack of good offers being presented to me. I believe I was offered 2 fights. One of them was with, I believe, Hugo Centeno, who's now fighting Charlo for the title. And another one was with the kid that Centeno knocked out, Aleem. I forget his name. And I wasn't really too high on neither of those fights. They really didn't bring any recognition to the table. They were good fighters, but I like fighting guys with names. Someone that if I beat, people will know who I beat. Former champions or former title challengers or something like that. Not up and comers. Because up and comers don't really bring nothing to the table, but a lot of energy and not a lot of money. So at this point of my career, I try to just look for the right calculated risks that, balancing money with name and what do I get out of beating them. And I weigh all those options, and that's when I take a fight. So that's what happened there. It wasn't really because I didn't want to fight. The right offers weren't being presented.
Right, I see. Thank you for clearing that up. So like you say there, you touched on there, you're back to winning ways now. A great win for you last Saturday night against Alfredo Angulo. The fight was only an 8-rounder, but it was actually, to many people's surprise, a split decision. 2 judges giving you the win, and then the infamous Adelaide Bird giving Alfredo Angulo the victory on her card. For those that haven't seen the fight, Sergio, I know that they didn't broadcast it on UK TV. I understand, I don't think they did in the US either. Just please walk us through that fight for those that may not have seen it.
Absolutely, and judging by my last 2 answers, I hope that you believe the third one. I'm being dead honest here. I won unanimously. I think if I'm going to be generous, I'll give Perro 2 rounds. And it's not because he won those 2 rounds by hitting me. It's because I took those 2 rounds off. Like I said, my legs started reacting around, the 4th round. I'm like, okay, well, the inactivity again is catching up to me. So I took round 4 and I think 5 or 6 off. One of those. I took 2 rounds off where I didn't really do much punch. I just moved around, jabbed. And then I got on him again. I tried to stop him 2 times. 2 times I rocked him really bad. And I tried to stop him, and I flurried on him, unanswered punches, 15, 20 punches. And when you do that, you blow your load a little bit. So, I had to watch myself not to get too tired because Perro still punches hard. He's nowhere near the fighter he was 5 years ago, but neither am I. But he still punches really hard, and he still takes a really hard punch to the chin. So I had to be careful with him. But dead honest, it was an 8-round fight. I think I won 6 rounds to 2. That's what I thought. I thought it was a unanimous decision win, 6-2. And the reason it was an 8-rounder is because we got demoted from a 10-rounder. Initially, we agreed to fight a 10-round fight, which was supposed to be televised on Showtime Extreme, which is another channel from Showtime, the main channel. And then when Julian, J. Rock Williams, and Gallimore agreed to fight, they put them in our spot, and we got, like I said, demoted down to an 8-rounder because they didn't have enough TV time. So we had to agree with that. As long as the money didn't change, I was fine with it. As a matter of fact, I was actually a little bit happy about it. I said, well, I don't know where I'm going to be. I haven't fought in a year and a half. Perro does come on late. Maybe an 8-rounder was meant to be. And sure enough, it was. So it was a good unanimous decision win in my head. But Adelaide Bird thought otherwise. I had no idea why, and that's just the way it goes.
Now, strangely, you both weighed in almost an entire weight class apart. Obviously, you came in just over middleweight. Alfredo Angulo came in just under super middleweight. What weight was the fight actually supposed to be at, and why was one of you either, quite a lot over the weight or quite a lot under the agreed weight?
That's another thing. Angulo didn't want to agree to fight under 168, and I didn't want to agree to fight over 164. I'm not a super middleweight. I know myself. I can get to 168, but not if I'm training hard. If I'm training hard, then I'm a middleweight. If I'm just relaxing at home, eating whatever I want, then I can go up to super middleweight. So I knew I was going to have a hard time making that weight. So when he wouldn't budge, they basically just agreed to pay me more money, and they said, all right, well, look, we'll make it an 8-rounder. He wants a 10, we'll make it an 8. I said, no, that's not it either. So we went back and forth negotiating. But I knew I'm not going to be able to make 168 because I was in pretty good shape. And I came in 162 and a half. When I'm in fighting shape, I don't go over 163, 164 pounds, So that's just what happened there. And I'm not just going to go up in weight just to be heavier to say that I'm a super middleweight. I like to be fast and active and agile. So I let him have the pounds, but obviously the come fight night, he was a lot bigger than I was, a lot heavier, a lot bigger, and he was able to walk me down like he wanted to and try to get me against the ropes. So the weight was an issue as well, but it wasn't really a problem tagging him. It was a problem just staying off the ropes and not getting cornered.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say there that, there was a couple of rounds in that fight where you were, not quite sure if your legs had left you or not. The answer, obviously, the way to get the answer out of that would be to stay active. I know that you mentioned that also. When would you be looking to get out again, and perhaps how many fights would you, see yourself having in what period of time, ideally?
That's a great question. Yes, I want to stay active no later than this summer, and I'm going to be right now. I'm negotiating my contract to be part of the upcoming Contender, which we start filming next week.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to be really active as far as being around fighters. I'm going to be sparring this Saturday versus the new contenders, and I'm going to be a part of that whole series. Now, as far as that's going to be for the next 6 to 8 weeks. As far as my next fight, I'd let Team Heyman know that I would like to fight no later than July. That would be perfect for me. That's what I have in mind at 160. And if I can have at 160, and if I can fight somebody that, someone that's not championship caliber, but I also don't want somebody that is at the end of their career either. Solid a solid prospect, a solid contender, a solid former champion, something like that to see where I'm really at, engage my abilities with someone that's still on the rise, and that's what I want.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question about which weight it would be at. You just answered there, middleweight. One name that jumped out at me just randomly when you were saying that and you were talking about which kind of fighter would be an ideal opponent. David Lemieux jumped out at me. Is that the kind of guy that you're thinking of?
David Lemieux actually, he's a Golden Boy fighter. I don't know how that would work with, I'm a Heyman fighter. Yeah. He likes fighting at home. He likes fighting in Canada, Quebec, or Montreal. I really am not interested in going to a hometown like that. The weight will be fine. He's a 160-pound fighter, I believe. He's coming off a loss. I'm coming off a win. I kind of would want to fight somebody that's on the winning ways, a winning record, someone that we can make the fight happen. He is a former champion, so he brings that to the table. That's great. But I don't see myself fighting a Lemieux in Canada, no. No, yeah. I would fight a BJ. I will fight a BJ Saunders in the UK, but he's a champion. That's a lot different. He's a champion. I've been hearing a lot about this guy, Michael Sullivan, right? Who was up to fighting Triple G. Guys like that, an up and comer, undefeated. People know him. I don't know him. I've never seen him fight, but it seems like he's somewhat popular in the UK. A guy like that, someone like that is right up my alley. Someone that's a winner. People know who he is. He's an up-and-comer. If I beat him, it could look good on my resume. He can have a former champion on his, and it can bring some money to the table. Something like that. That type of an opponent.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight, actually. He's a guy that... I wouldn't really say so much he's an up-and-comer. Obviously, he lost twice, both to, once to Billy Joe Saunders, once to Chris Eubank Jr. But yeah, he's kind of, he's one of those guys that's, he's got a good punch on him. He likes to kind of be in wars, it would seem. But I think he's fighting on May 4th. But I definitely like that fight down the line. Perhaps if he gets it done early, then, he could be around for the summer kind of date that you're eyeing up. Yeah,
you just never know. You never know what the offers that might be presented to me. I mean, look at Austin Trout. I would say me and Austin are on the same boat, right? We're at the tail end of our career. We've been to the top. We've been world champions. People know who we are. We've been stopped, once or twice before, but we still bring something to the table. He's about to fight for another world title out of nowhere. He's fighting Charlo. So something like that obviously would be ideal for me. I'm a former world champion. I bring something to the table. I'm a well-known fighter. I'm coming off a good win. So you never know what opponent can just pop up. I am with the right team. I am with the right advisor, with the right everything, television. So you never know what can pop up. I'm just going to stay ready.
Absolutely. And coming down to the last couple of questions, have you been paying any attention to the World Boxing Super Series at super middleweight? If so, if you want to give your opinion on the final, obviously George Groves and Callum Smith, all British final. If you've got an opinion you want to share, just take it away.
No, I haven't been following it, but I'm glad that George Groves is in the finale. He beat Eubanks Jr., right? He embarrassed him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad to see that because Eubanks Jr. was very confident going into that tournament, and everyone wants to see a guy like that kind of be shut up, because him and his father think highly of themselves, and when they go in there and he didn't just get beat. I from what I read, I didn't watch the fight. From what I read, he pretty much got handled. He felt like he was even outshined. He didn't even belong in that kind of fight with a guy like Rhodes. So he got manhandled and he got humbled down. And I like to see stuff like that. And I would say George Groves will be the favorite. I follow his career. I don't know too much about his opponent, but Groves is a really, really good fighter all around. He has a little bit of everything. And I think he's a favorite to win.
Yeah, I think he is the favourite to win also. I think a lot of people agree with that. You should definitely check out the Groves and Chris Eubank Jr. fight. But the guy that Groves is fighting in the final, just to give you a little heads up on him, I think he's about 24-0. He's only about 26, 27 years old. He's 6'3", so he's a really tall super middle. But yeah, he's very good body puncher as well. So it's a great fight that most of the the UK fans are really excited for that. And
for a guy that's 6'3" and he's a great body puncher, that says a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's quite a special fighter. I think a lot of people don't really like him. I don't think he's got the fan base that Groves has got, but certainly a good fighter. And I wanted to get your take on this whole. This whole kind of messy situation with Triple G and Canelo. What's your angle on that? What do you think about that whole meat scandal and all that stuff?
It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame because Cinco de Mayo is one of the traditional huge holidays for boxing, and especially if you're Mexican or Mexican American like I am, we really celebrate that day. It's kind of like St. Patrick's Day for Irishmen. But we really need our boxing on that day, on that holiday. And Las Vegas is always a place to be, from when Chavez fought to De La Hoya to now Canelo. We need somebody to follow into a big event and a big fight weekend and going there, everyone dressed up, people flying in from Mexico. It's an event. It I don't know how to describe it, but it's an event. And I was there for the Golovkin Canelo fight, the first one, and it was unbelievable at the T-Mobile Arena. So for this one, I was already looking forward to this one being a better fight and someone getting knocked out. And then when I heard Canelo being guilty of taking PEDs, because let's be honest with you, that's what it is. Whether you try to say that he had contaminated meat or you make excuses for him is just rubbish, as you guys would say. I would say bullshit, but rubbish.
You can say that
because look, man. Let's look at the facts here. His team, I believe, one of his team members, his trainer, they own a meat market, so they should be meat specialists. Canelo is not poor; he's a multi-millionaire. He doesn't need to be shopping for meat at regular meat markets like everyone else. They're called carnicerias in Spanish. So he should be having the top of the line organic, meat brought to him. He shouldn't just be eating at the local taco shop. I mean, I'm not getting paid millions of dollars for my fight, and I have my meals prepared by a chef. I have my meals organic. I take care of my own food because I'm responsible for what I ingest. Everything that goes into my body, which isn't a lot, I look at the things. I have them double checked by doctors or people in the medical field. I do all that, and for him being a superstar, not just some average Joe, a superstar, he should have known better if he was having contaminated meat. So that's why I got to eliminate all of the above and say that, yes, he was looking for an edge. And I hate to admit that because Canelo is shit. I'm one of his fans. I'm Mexican American. I want to see a Mexican superstar. I love having that guy as the face of boxing, which he is, and we're proud of him. But that's something that you don't mess with. You don't mess with someone's life like that. When if you're trying to cheat and cut corners that much, because someone could get seriously hurt. People think that maybe just by taking out padding from your glove or wrapping your hands with plaster is the only way to really cheat and hurt somebody bad. But it's not. If you have, PEDs or things that enhance your ability to get stronger or have more stamina or more strength or be faster or bigger, these are all things that could endanger someone's life. And we're in the hurt business, and it only takes one punch to seriously hurt somebody. And for a cheater, whether he wants to blame meat or he wants to say it was an accident, he still was a cheater. He still was caught cheating. it can't be allowed. It can't be allowed in our sport, and I just hope that people understand. They give him the benefit of the doubt. Yes, they should give him the benefit of the doubt, but when it comes down to it, he's still tarnished, just like the meat that he ingested. And I don't think he can ever recoup that reputation ever again, because it's just kind of like I'm going to go to the extreme here, but just like a pedophile. If a pedophile gets exonerated in court by a judge, he goes back to the real world. People are still going to see him as a pedophile. It doesn't matter what the judge thought. This guy still already has the tainted reputation of someone that broke the law, even though he was found guilty by a man with a robe. People have their opinion already. I think that's what's going to happen with Canelo Alvarez, which is a damn shame, because I'm a big fan and I want to see a Mexican do great things like he did, but it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah, it is a great shame. I totally agree with that. Lastly, they're still saying, Golovkin's team is still saying, they're still insisting that he will fight on May 5th. When you look at, the range of opponents that there are that can step in at the last minute kind of thing, there really aren't many. Obviously, Jamal Charlo's got a fight coming up, so has Daniel Jacobs, so has Billy Joe Saunders. You look at the kind of top 10, top 15, Austin Trout in there, he's just had his fight announced. Is there anyone that you can think of that could fit in? The only one that really jumps out at me is Demetrius Andrade, who's been putting his name forward, but I don't know how people in the States feel about that fight. Is there anybody else that you think would fit better than him?
No, because, and I'll tell you why, because there's not much money in that fight. People think just because you're going to be fighting on a big stage on HBO pay-per-view versus a well-known, champion like Golovkin, everyone thinks that the money's going to be big. But it's not like that. To fight a Golovkin, and I would know because I got offered to fight him a long time ago, there's not much money to that. Now, if you fight Canelo, there's money in there. Obviously, there's Canelo money in there. But if you fight Golovkin, you're probably looking at the low six figures. I would say maybe even 100,000 or 150,000. I don't see them offering more for that ass whooping. So people are quick to throw their name in the hat until they see how much they're getting paid. I'm sure that's what happened with Sullivan. From what I'm reading, they made him an offer and he turned it down. I'm sure that's what happened. There's not enough money in there. But if you get a guy like Andrade, a guy like Vanage Martirosyan, who would take the fight for 100,000, these guys, they haven't made millions in their career. So I could see a guy like Martirosyan. This is last minute. We can't get picky. Martirosyan's a highly ranked junior middleweight, but he's an Olympian. He's a hell of a fighter. He's been in there with some of the best. Why not throw him in the mix? I mean, we're not worried about breaking pay-per-view numbers anymore. We're just worried about salvaging a fight. So Vanage Martirosyan, Demetrius Andrade, these are two guys that are well avoided by a lot of people, and for good reason, because they're really good fighters that make their opponents look bad. But at this point, if those are the only two names in the hat willing to take 100,000 to fight a monster like Golovkin, then that's what needs to happen, or scratch the date because time's ticking. And they're not going to get the ideal. They're not going to get the ideal, well-known Mexican on a Mexican holiday to sell tickets, underpay him, and still be able to whoop his ass. They're not going to have it. They're not going to have it their way all the way. They're going to have to. They're going to have to give in and either overpay somebody or underpay somebody and take a somewhat ugly fight, which is a guy like Andrade or Martirosyan, stuff like that. I tend to agree with that, to be completely honest. And lastly, Sergio, just before I let you go, it's not really a question, but it's just I want to give you a chance to send any message out to your UK fans. I know that you've got a bunch over here. Any message for those just before I let you go? Absolutely. Look, people are telling me if this is my last year fighting, and I said, yes, it is. And I got my tune-up out of the way with Angulo, and I would like 2 more fights before the year's over. I would love my last fight to be in the UK, or one of my fights before this year's over in the UK. So if I get an opportunity to go out there across the pond and fight there, it would be my pleasure and honor to fight in front of the many contender fans that followed me from 10 years ago. 10 years plus, I should say. And not only that, but the new contenders coming out, and I'm going to be a part of that. So I'm hoping that the English fans get a good chance to jump on board, because there's no passion like the British passion.
Absolutely. Well, thank you on behalf of all the British fans. And listen, Sergio, thank you so much for your time once again. Congratulations once again on your win, and I'm sure that we'll catch up again very soon.
You got it. Absolutely. Anytime.
Okay, and now it's time to wrap up episode 130 of the BoxHard Podcast. It's been eventful, to say the least. I think it's been our longest ever show, actually. I hope that you've all enjoyed it. I really do. A big thank you to everybody involved. Ayaz's two fantastic replacements. In part one, we had the excellent podcast debutant Mimi Melendez, and in part two, we had the former heavyweight world title challenger, Fast Eddie Chambers. A big thank you also to our two guests on this week's show. Another two world champions, the current WBA Bantamweight champion of the world, Mr. Jamie McDonnell, and he was followed by the former WBC light middleweight world champion, Sergio Mora. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Thank you all for taking part in the competition. We'll be doing another one in a few shows' time. Remember to please leave us a review on iTunes if you do get a chance. Thank you all once again for listening to this week's podcast, and we'll see you all next week.